When I tell y'all WAP is gospel music, every time I just get so excited to talk about my pussy. Like, I do it anyway, but it has given me a song. Like, it's given me reference. It's
Listen to gospel that makes you
gospel.
think about your pussy.
No. WAP as gospel. Like, it's given me a place
I got
to
you.
I'm
express
thinking WAP,
the
WAP,
spiritual
WAP, that's
connection
the
that I have with my pussy.
give me everything you
And
got.
the way that I watch
Get it
person after person
extra hard.
drown in it. Like, my pussy itself is an anarchist.
How do we go from gospel, which I cringed at, to drowning girls for 40 days and 40 nights into WAP?
I got tons of soul, I'm a true collectible. Famous, so famous, number one, desirable. I do what I want, when I want, and how I want it. Leave you with the one in the air, that's how I roll. So royal, this is me, I'm so royal.
It's however you choose to commune with the spirit. I do it with my wide variety of pussy toys. And sometimes your man.
What does pussy talk? English, Spanish, and French. What does pussy talk?
No, my pussy actually does talk English, Spanish, and French because I have learned other languages since the quarantine has started.
Anyway, y'all, welcome to another episode of In the Middle, girl. The pussy is talking, but we should be talking and having conversations about things that are going on. All of us are back. We didn't took a break, and COVID is still tap dancing all on the state of Georgia. Do y'all know we are number 5?
We was number 3 at one point, so it's kind of like how we used to be with the HIV statistics. Like, we're not 1, we're 3. We're not 3, we're 5. And it's like, no, it just means our healthcare system is of the plantation. And it should go.
I want it to be better. But other than Miss COVID, which we'll get to, my birthday was yesterday. And shout out to T for making that little creative thing. It was so cute. Yes. The girls loved it. They DM'd me and messaged me about it. So my birthday was beautiful. I'm 33. Everything was so nice. Deshaun made me cry with that tweet and through. I was like, child, the power of words with Deshaun. I should know. But it was really cute. I wasn't expecting it. And my mentions were like popping. So I didn't even see it. I didn't even see it until you sent it to me. But I wasn't on Twitter. Like I said, girl, I'm 33, and I had say bye, got a blast.
You did.
I knew it was
As
gonna
you
be.
should.
I knew it was gonna be a lot. But Bay surprised me with some friends and at this cute restaurant. Social distancing involved. Like it was like, I think it was like 6 of us. It was like probably 6 or 7 of us. We sat down, talked shit, then we came back to the house, smoked, threw some in the air. I tried to smoke, but she's not gonna give me that. I don't like choking. I don't like choking like that. Unless
I'm gonna make you some edibles.
Oh, you wouldn't. I won't be taking them. I won't.
You deserve to feel like we feel.
I can't do it. I'd be like that Doctor Strange. I'd be like, girl, it's too much. I can't do edibles.
Not like Doctor Strange, but your sagittal self be floating.
I was high for 2 days. The first time I took an edible, I told my ex-boyfriend to take me to the emergency room. I said, take me to.
It'll do you like that the first time.
I felt my heart slowing down. Like I said, girl, she's not beating no more. I thought I was about to die.
It just means you're just super calm. It's like a super high dose amount of weed, especially if you don't see. I smoke weed or consume marijuana daily.
I think it's because I suffer through anxiety, because people who I know who have really bad anxiety, they don't do well with edibles. Like they don't. I guess some folks it's okay.
I have medically prescribed chronic anxiety, and I wake up with an edible and go to sleep with one. It's also about your tolerance and your threshold, but it also manifests differently with different anxieties too.
Yeah, I think that's
everybody's
what it is too.
different.
So, but Justin won't be taking no edible ever. CBD oil about it. I was scared to even pop one of them gummies, but I do not mess with Miss THC, girl. She would have me out here thinking I'm the alpha and omega. Like I literally thought it was a witch in my closet, and it was some spirit telling me that, girl, you want all the information. This is everything. I'm gonna tell you everything about the universe. You are a part of the universe. You are part of everything. You are God, because everything exists in one thing. I said, girl, I'm good. I don't want to know anything else. Thank you so much. And it took me 2 days to get
It's
up.
giving PCP.
It was, girl, what it was it? This was in Tallahassee. So, girl, one of the white boys probably did put some extra stuff in there. But
It's giving PCP.
moving on, because we gonna talk about me and my highness. But T, you are counting down to leave. You got what, like 2 more weeks or something?
I do. I have like 2.5 weeks left in Atlanta. I have no concept with time. I don't know what today is. It's fine. But yeah, no, it's what it's doing is moving. If time is doing anything, it's moving. And I will be out of Atlanta September 1st.
Wow.
Headed to Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Yes, me, T, the abolitionist, somehow divinely got into a university in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And I was like, universe, why am I moving to Minneapolis, Minnesota? And then summer 2020 popped off. So I feel really good. I've actually met some incoming Black grad students who are super dope, who are working on similar and not so similar things. But as Black folks move into a very white, cold place do.
How did y'all find each other? Through social media? How did we...
Oh, well, I'm a part of a summer research program. So that's also what I've been doing is TRAP scholarship for the actual university for this summer. So yeah, they're a part of my incoming cohort. And we sort of went rogue and created our own little group off to the side, and it's been cute. So I'm excited. I'm a little bit more excited now that I actually have an apartment and that I actually know people, because when I tell y'all, I've known that I've been going to Minnesota since January and made no moves toward moving until the last 3 weeks. Like in the last 3 weeks, I've gotten friends, an apartment, a class schedule. I got classes on Tuesday. How lovely is that? You know, I'm actually going to go to school. It's happening. I'm really just excited to get out of Atlanta, because if anybody, like, if you know me, you know that like I've been trying to go for years. Deshaun knows that, like, probably better than almost anybody. Like, every time I've almost gotten out, something here has pulled me back or something fell through on the other end. So it's like, now that I'm gone, bitch, I'm gone. So I'm just trying to have like one-on-ones to the best of my ability with my people. I mean, I'm not gonna hold you, like, moving in the middle of a global pandemic and economic crisis and all of the other things that are happening right now is not cute. And it's wild because, you know how we like say, if I knew then what I know now, there were so many things that I skipped out on last summer and last fall to just work and graduate and let capitalism really beat the shit out of me so that I could finish my degree and finish up my last fellowship that was paying for my degree, that I just tabled it. And so I had bought like concert tickets, for example, months in advance. And as the concerts came up, I was canceling or selling tickets and skipping out on festivals. All the things that I love to do in Atlanta, I was skipping out on, thinking I was going to have a summer. And we saw how the summer went. So, you know, other than that, that's the only part of this move that's a little bittersweet. But Atlanta's always home. And I feel confident and comfortable that I can always come back unless the mayor bans me. But, you know, we're moving toward not having one of those. So that gives me hope.
So moving on to Keisha's block list, Deshaun, which you are a part of. Deshaun, you got a lot going on too. You were mentioning in Kalani's video, and just a lot of beautiful things. You finished your book. Give the girls an update, because last time we recorded was like 3 weeks ago.
3 weeks ago, yeah.
Yes.
Wow, yes, a lot of things have transpired in the last 3 weeks. So yes, I was in Kaylani's video, not my physical self, but she texted me one day and was like, hey, I need you to write a thing for me. And I was like, okay, what's up? And she was like, yeah, like, I'm doing this video, you know, the song Can I? She gave me the video concept, and she was like, I just want you to do your thing, write something about sex work and sex work decrim. And I was like, bet, I got you. And I already had something written up anyway, so I just like took from that like something, and like I took from a thing that I wrote for Wear Your Voice and shortened it to like be something more specific that was like informative, but also just celebratory around sex work and sex workers. Got it to her that same night, and she sent me like the link to the video and everything. So like I saw the video and everything way before everybody else saw it. Cause I mean,
friends list.
So it was like really dope. It was cool because Kehlani and I, like, I know, like, I mean, of course, y'all know my close friends, like all of y'all know that we're like, that she and I are friends, but it's not something that like I communicate a lot offline. So, or online. Mm-hmm. So to be able to like be in that moment with each other, because I was supposed to have interviewed her at the beginning of the year, but then COVID happened and all the things.
I remember that.
To finally be able to like collaborate, which is really dope. And like just seeing my name at the end of the video, after all the things that happened and my name up in Rolling Stone and other places, it was like a dope ass like experience because, I mean, I have, both of y'all know this, I think, but I know especially T, like this, I'm not new to getting pressed, but most times when I get pressed, it's around some organizing shit, not around like things that I actually like am invested in, like that I've invested my whole self in. So to be able to like just have that experience and the fact that Kehlani asked me to do it was just like it was an honor. So I'm excited about that. And then yes, so my book is not finished yet, but my deadline is August 31st. So it's on the cuff. And baby, when I tell you that when this book is finished, I'm not writing a damn thing for at least a month. I'm like, I'm so tired of writing. I'm exhausted by like having to like deal with words. The last 2 weeks, I talked to like Miss Antoinette and I talked to Jordan. And Miss Antoinette will tell you like, I literally had to like make up a word because I couldn't think of the word pre-order. Like that's how like my brain is like, what are words? What is language? Everything. And I'm not finished yet. I still got a couple weeks more to go and I might end up having to take an extension. So it's like, baby, I don't want to write that.
You were a couple of months ago.
Huh?
You're further than you were a couple of months ago.
Yeah, I mean, I'm thankful for that. And what the beautiful thing about it is that my publishing house and my editor in particular, have been really, really, really thoughtful around what's been moving this summer, right? Because I signed my contract in March, right before the pandemic, with no idea that we was going to be going through all of this. And then I had to take a month and a half off because I was organizing nonstop around police violence.
All
the things. So
things.
Like literally. So they've been really, really, really thoughtful around that. And they've offered like, hey, if you need an extension, take it, because they know that for that month and a half, I was not writing. So I'm actually behind schedule, to be honest. But I'm trying to put in double the work so that I don't have to postpone like when the book comes out, because I want to get this baby out into the world. It's been my baby for years now. And I'm excited about it. Like, I just finished another chapter on desirability. Well, the only chapter in the book on desirability, but another chapter in the book. And I'm just like, I'm excited about it. I'm finishing up a chapter on police violence and fat Black folks.
Okay.
So it's coming along. The book's going to end up being somewhere between 280, 300 pages.
Okay.
Because baby, I had a lot of things to say. I had a lot of things to say, so it's gonna be a little hefty, just like me. But yeah, I mean, those have been some of the more exciting things to happen in the last few weeks. Yeah, I'm excited about this next iteration of life.
I am too, and I'm glad to be back with y'all. I know it's been 3 weeks, but it feels like it's been longer than that.
Yeah. Like
T said, the concept of time, she's all over the place. I will tell you all.
It's COVID time. It's really weird.
Yes, it is
It's really weird.
I found out that No Name actually watches us. Yeah.
You.
I'm not surprised though, because we did an episode intentional about a situation pertaining to No Name. And I do remember Zalika's clip like getting pretty viral, or like at least back to them. So yeah, I'm excited. I like that. Okay.
Yeah, she followed me on Twitter the other day and she said that she watches. So I was like, I think that came from the video that we did and just other stuff. So we love the support and authentic conversation. Like, we don't do this to get recognition from, you know, folks, but we do appreciate all of the nice things that they say about the stuff we do. Because I know I'm not invested in celebrity like that, and No Name is not either.
No Name. I love that No Name isn't either. I saw on her Twitter this week, her intentionally asking people to unfollow her, and then raising the question, like, are you so invested in a celebrity that even when the celebrity asks you to unfollow them, you expect them to delete the account instead of you just respecting and unfollowing? I thought it was pretty interesting. It's like, I don't know. I'm really interested, like, right now in how people are navigating visibility, because I'm having some trouble with that, and I've always struggled with it. And it's made me put, like, mundane things about life into perspective. Like, when you're visible, what does it mean to age or to be respected or, you know, all of the things, especially in our work as organizers and all of the things. It's like, you don't get access to half as much grace or half as much peace. And I think 2 or 3 years ago, even, like, before I was where I am now politically, like, I would have looked at a celebrity with a huge following, like, they had 3 heads for asking their fans to, like, if you're not here for these reasons, unfollow. But, like, yo, I get it. I really get it.
Period.
So nothing but love to No Name.
Yes, absolutely. So this episode, we are not doing one specific things. We're doing all the things. That's the key word for today. All the keyword. All the things. And we have to talk about wet ass pussy. Cause girl, it's been an interesting week. So WAP has been out for a week now.
A week, Friday to Friday.
And it feels like it's been longer than that, because these motherfuckers will not let that shit go, that they literally just said wet ass pussy. Like, you had white conservatives, over and over. Yes, whole politician, elected officials offering critique on a song about wet ass pussy, like really mad.
Yeah, like angry, viscerally. It's hilarious because people can feel how they want to feel about the song. Some folks love it, some folks hate it, some folks just like it, and that's fine. But the overall rollout and, like, the explicitness of the song, and the response from conservatives and from just men in general just feels so reminiscent of, you know, the 90s, the early 2000s, where female rappers, you know, the Lil Kims, the Trinas, the Kayas, the Jackie O's, all these, like, women was just talking shit about their pussy. Like, bitch, I got this wet ass shit. It's like, it's motherfucking beat it up. Like, I love it. And that was a point in time where conservatives were like, every other week, it seemed like they were just making commentary on, like, on the things that these women were doing. And it, like, that to me is what I love most about the song WAP. Is like, it really is like drawing us back to this era where, like, rap was it felt innovative. It felt like there was like a shift, like a cultural shift happening. And I love that. And I'm excited because in those moments, what you also got a lot of were a lot of dope ass remixes. So I'm really hoping that because of the type of response that this is getting, that, like, Cardi and Megan are like, hey, you know, you, can y'all hop on these remixes? Can y'all do this, that, and third? Because it would be a moment. Like, we haven't had a moment like that for women in hip hop in a long time. I think that would be like a dope ass experience. Just like old rappers, new rappers. I don't want no men. Like, I know Plies released a remix, and I know that Safari released a remix. Safari's remix was trash. Plies was good. But I don't want no niggas on the remix. I want this to be nothing but women, trans women included, rapping about their wet ass pussies. Absolutely. Because I think it would be just, like, dope as fuck. Even if the trans women in question don't have pussies, bitch, you got a pussy. So I would just love for that to be, like, an experience, something that would just be, like, really fun and cute and enjoyable. And also, you know, have Young and May hop on there and rap about her love for other wet ass pussies. It
Yes.
be like, it could be a really like,
it's giving me what you
as cultural moment.
It's giving me like when it responds to what you do for the D, but we doing it for the P, for the wet ass pussy. Period.
But that did spark a lot of good online content though. I think as a online, just like as somebody who's really interested in like online communication space and like rollout and curation and strategy, I loved how not sloppy this was. I love how, and it's really no shade, and I don't want to draw the comparison, but I think about when Megan did her collaboration with Nicki for Hot Girl Summer. And like last summer, Hot Girl Summer and City Girl Summer were like marquee. That's what we were all here to have.
It was.
And I feel like if that song and that situation would have had the same amount of care and like strategy, it could have shifted shit in the same way. And I've really been waiting on that moment for Megan. Like I feel like with Cardi did the Bruno Mars features and those sorts of things, like Cardi has had those moments. And as like a Meg fan, as an owner of a wet ass pussy, as a connoisseur of other wet ass pussies, all of it has just like given me what I need. It's like I wake up in the morning and I listen to WAP and Pockets Bigger by Flo Milli, because none of these bitches is fucking with me, and my wet ass pussy. And I feel like we should all sit in that every morning. Like, find something to ground yourself in, you know? And then I just go out and I just do me, knowing that I have this spiritual connection to my wet ass pussy, to other people with wet ass pussies, to the people mad at people for having wet ass pussies, for the people who desire my wet ass pussy. I love Megan's, like, her conversation that she has in the lyrics with Cardi, like her mindset when she's like deploying because she knows the power of a wet ass pussy. Listen, it's a guidebook. It is genealogy. It's all of the things. It's nothing less than I would expect from Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion.
Yeah.
I'm very much, I love this time we doing a live stream, we doing this, is coming out, versus we don't know shit, it's supposed to come out this time. Like, y'all, they don't be understanding that shit makes stuff worse. Like,
yes,
it was very, very, very intentional. Like, there was a lot of intentionality and purpose behind the collaboration, which is what I loved about it. And we have not seen Megan in this type of light before. This is bolstering her in a way that she has not experienced yet. I think the closest she's experienced to this has been her collaboration with Beyonce, right? That got her first number one. But Beyonce, of course, didn't do a video with her. And so, like, seeing Megan, like, this is the first time you get to see Megan as a star in a video shoot. Like, Megan has never had this type of video before. She's never had this type of like what's the word I'm looking for? She's never been shown this type of love and made to look and be like this actual star before this video. And so, like, that's what was really exciting about me. It was like, in so many ways, like, Cardi, like, grabbed onto this woman and was like, hey girl, like, I see you and I love the spirit with which you rap and what you bring to the table, and I want to be able to bolster you and bring you into this, like, to this next level of your artistry. And I love that. And they did an excellent job. I love the juxtaposition between Cardi's slow and tender rap versus Megan's like really hard, aggressive rap. It was very much given like Cardi's given like sensual and Megan's given dom. Like, it was like, I live for this shit. And it was a conversation. It was like this is what I'm doing to you, this is what you're doing to me. Like, this is how I'm handling the business.
I didn't see it like that. I can definitely see that, because when Megan came on, I was like, okay, girl. Like, okay, girl. Like,
yeah, Megan came.
I love Megan's flow. I love how she raps like that.
I think that Megan, I will say, she annoys me sometimes because it's always the same. But on this song, it just worked so well. It was like this, the beat, the vibe, it worked so well. And it was like, it brought the song together. I loved it. I loved everything about it. The video, I hated the clean version. They could have kept that shit in the drafts. But
I hate it.
But I know why they had to, I know why they had to do it, because it's
YouTube was not going, girl.
at all.
I'm
But
surprised they even let the cheetah print titties get away. But
oh, same.
yeah,
It's really wild to me in this. I was gonna say it's really wild to me though. I was thinking about it in the car because the radio was on and the song came on, and it was my first time hearing it, not with the wet and gushy, but with the just it's bleeped out. And it's like, I guess because we live in the streaming online era, it's like I wonder how long federal regulations are going to exist like this. Because I'm like, what is the point in the day-to-day radio being so clean and so edited? And I can tap my phone on hit a button and tap my phone and hear the other version. It's not like, back in the day when we had to go buy a different CD. But I wanted to speak to y'all's points on like intention and rollout, because when I listen to, during the quarantine, I'm a big fan of radio in general. I love radio. I've been falling in love with more of the Apple Music radio stations, and I've kind of like adopted like a regular sort of schedule of listening to their shows, because what Apple Music does is they make a playlist, and they have like Apple Music based playlists, and then they have a radio to go with the playlist, and then they go through the songs, and the host gives background, and they give artist interviews. And so the New Music Daily show did an interview with Cardi, Sukiana. Yeah. Is that how we pronounce it? Yes. Yeah. And I've fallen in love with her since this interview. And Mulatto. And they had a real conversation about all the shit. So if y'all want a good one, listen to that. But in that, Cardi brought back front and center that she's famous because she understands the internet, that she was a viral sensation, and that she really knows intimately how social media works. Mm-hmm. And so I want us to take the WAP moment or the WAP moment and really give Cardi her things as that, because if you look at the material, right, and this is not just my bias as a Cardi stan, like facts are facts. Consistently, Cardi B has given us phenomenal music videos. The Money video was probably one of the greatest pieces of visual art that I've seen in our contemporary moment. And I'm not exaggerating, and we can actually argue about it, but it is what it is. A thing's a thing. And she doesn't miss. Her album covers, sickening. Her rollout art, sickening. Her Instagram pictures at the fucking house, sickening. And so when you take somebody with that expertise and that type of work, it says to me as an artist, no matter big or small, I don't give a fuck if I'm Beyonce and Janet Jackson or Megan Thee Stallion and Mulatto. If I work with Cardi B, I know my shit gonna be tight. I know the sound's gonna be great. I know it's gonna have great, all the production's gonna be awesome, but the visual and the rollout is gonna give what it deserves to give. And I think we should have gave Cardi that shit a long time ago, but we have to give it to her now after this, because she's her own boss, genius, whatever word you want to use there. She's a subject matter expert on this rollout social media shit. And I think Cardi's age in this industry is going to speak to that. And she's going to be a major player in that sort of behind the scenes curation, creative direction, artistic work. Give her that.
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I love, well, no, I'm going to let you finish your point because my stuff is kind of moving on to another conversation. What was you going to say, Deshaun?
No, I was just going to say, people hate Cardi, and girl, that's your prerogative. But what I continue to tell folks is that we are going to see Cardi's name go down in the history books as one of the greatest rap artists to ever do it, because she has been an artist. And you don't have to call her. Cardi has never wanted to be the queen of rap. She never wanted to be the most lyrical bitch out here. But she is one of the most special artists to have come in this last decade. And I'm excited to see how much more she gives us, because you are right, T. She does not miss when it comes to the visuals, when it comes to the fashion, when it comes to even the songs. Like, she makes hit music because she knows what a hit sounds like, and she listens to so much different type of music to where she's able to like really like produce and generate like a sound that she knows will be most effective, especially in the club and on the radio where it matters the most. So I think she is brilliant, and I'm excited to see what she does next.
I am too. I'm glad that the conversation about the song has moved away from that White Walker I'm glad that we're talking about. I'd rather talk about
that shit's so funny though.
that shit got on my fucking nerves. If we're talking about rollout and we're talking about visibility, I really hated how people were saying that Kylie was put in that video to get more views. I said, first of all, it's Cardi. Second of all, it's Megan. We don't need anybody else. Like these two gorgeous, talented ass women coming together doing music together. Like there are so many things that you can go like, oh shit. You can say, oh girl, does that mean her and Nicki is still cool? Or I would have never thought they would come together. Oh, they both talented. So many things. Or she finna have a budget out this world. Like there's so many conversations to make you want to watch it. And they both fucking good at what they fucking do. So to just put it as it only got this visibility because Kylie was in, I was like, no girl, like absolutely not. So we were talking about that for a couple of days. I don't think she should have been put in that video at all. That was my only thing. It was a waste of fucking time to me. That was my only thing. And it started a big conversation about, there was a tweet that went viral from Danielle Young who said that it's amazing how much Black women have to do. Like I'm kind of paraphrasing what she said, but she said Normani was in there dancing and Kylie just walked for a couple of seconds.
I saw that.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I had qualms with that tweet.
Mm-hmm.
Because it didn't make sense. It was like, I remember that tweet and she did say that it was like proof of Black women having to work twice as hard to get just as much or something like that. And Kylie's not a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
Normani's a dancer. So like, why would Kylie be cast as a dancer in a video where she is not a dancer? Like it didn't make sense to me. I'm like, I get
that's what Cardi said too. Deshaun.
Right.
That's
like
exactly
I remember seeing that. Too. And yeah. I do like I understand the frustration that Black folks have with seeing this white woman who has made it, like her whole family made an entire career off of our shit. Like so that makes perfect sense to me. And in that regard, like I definitely agree. I'm like, Kylie, I will say the bitch looks sickening. She looked sickening. I lived for. I was living for the way she looked.
He always is gonna give that part.
She's there. She's gonna give that, and it's just who she is.
Yeah.
But she was unnecessary. She just would like. There was no point in having her there. Like it just. She came in and she walked, and then
people were coming to all types of reasons why she was in there. I said no. The reason why she was in there is because Cardi asked her to be in that video.
The reason that she's in there is because they're friends. That's what
that's like. Powerful to me.
Yeah, that's. I was like, y'all trying to come up with every reason why, and I'm just like, no, girl. She was asked to be in that video. I think for when Danielle, because she watched my video and she actually responded. She posted me on Instagram. And she kind of like explained it a little bit. She was just saying that, of course, what you just said, but I looked at it. I think a lot of people saw it as how Kylie has become famous, not even just her being a dancer and Normani dancing, but how she's been able to become famous overall versus Normani can't just be a rapper's baby mama and just famous. Like she can't do that. Like she has to do all of these things to even get in the same video versus this white woman. So I got
that makes sense. But then also to the rapper's baby mama point, I don't defend Kylie Jenner, but if we look at the timeline of her life, born of wealthy parents, big sister is Kim Kardashian.
Yeah.
And she had all that shit and got pregnant by a rapper. My thing of it is Cardi's reasoning being that she has a reverence for Kris Jenner. And I think here again, my positive on this is it shows Cardi's sort of desire and boss move space, because she named it. It's not about me and Kylie. I miss having tea and table and lunch and dinner with Kris Jenner. And we have our qualms about Kris Jenner. But we also know when you talk about people in business, as far as his entertainment work goes, she has landed the best deals in the world out there for her family. And she built a family of, 4 white women or 4 women of privilege, but still just 4 regular girls working adjacent to big stars in the entertainment industries into the world's biggest brand. I mean, the influencer was built through Kim Kardashian, and then in his genealogy been passed to Kylie. It goes back and forth who's the world's biggest influencer when you talk about in general. I mean, one can say like Beyonce, obviously, but Beyonce has so many other things, and then her Instagram, or then her online or her public persona. And so for Cardi, there again, knowing how the fuck social media works, knowing how the fuck visibility strategy, cultural strategy, like that strategy sort of works, I think she really has been sowing that seed with Kris Jenner, and she's like, I'm gonna put out the biggest video of my career with my girl Meg, and just to add a little sprinkle on top of that, I'm gonna put Kylie fucking Jenner in it, because it shows that I can call any of the girls up and they'll turn out for me, and we can collectively do this sort of work. So I wonder, my thought is just Cardi's sort of thinking and stuff with the proximity to Kris Jenner and that place in this work. That's how I spun it.
I don't think she thought all that. I think it was, to me, this is just a friend. I don't think, even if she didn't think it, I don't think she put that much stock in it. I mean,
that's what she named in her interview, is that it was all about
thinking about
the
it,
way
but
that she
girls were dragging that shit for a minute. I don't care, to me, I don't care what relationship she has with Kris Jenner or any of that. I just did not need to see no white woman in this video under no circumstances. And I think a lot of people were okay. Like, I don't have any problem with folks naming that. Like, this is all that we fucking got. Like, this is all the fuck we got. Y'all have taken every fucking thing. At the very fucking least, leave us the fuck alone. Like leave us the fuck alone. It's already kind of hard protecting the culture. I feel like that's all we fucking got. And just to have her in there walking for 8 seconds, and I'm just tired of everybody just gassing it up because it's just this thin fucking white woman with fucking full lips that she bought and started selling to other white girls and all this shit. I don't want to see that shit. I don't want to see that. So I think, if anything, Cardi was kind of shocked by the response of, because a lot of black folks like, girl, not right now, especially not right now. Like, girl, no.
I don't think she was shocked.
Right.
I actually don't think she was shocked at all. I think that's why she only addressed it like once online.
Yeah, and then
because I think Cardi is, one thing about Cardi is she is aware.
Oh, she pay attention.
She pay attention.
Yes.
I think she knows exactly how black folks feel about the Jenners and the Kardashians. But I agree. And she named it. She put Kylie in the video because her husband is really close with Travis, and she has an admiration for Kris. And that's what I was trying to tell folks. Like, the moment y'all realize, and y'all know I love Cardi, but the moment y'all realize that celebrities are celebrities, and they're not gonna be these people, they're not gonna be your moral compass, like, then you can stop trying to burst an aneurysm over something that's not gonna change. Like, they're friends, or by if nothing else, they're in close proximity to one another.
Mm-hmm.
They have close relationships, and so therefore, like, that, it was an easy call up. Like, hey, I would love to.
She wanted to do it. She wanted to be around that black shit. She wanted to.
Kylie was ready to do it. Kylie was like, yeah, girl,
it's a strategy. It's
her outfit.
No, it was not no business move. It was fucking, bitch, I want to be around a bunch of niggas. I want to do this shit.
Yeah.
That's what it was. But also, I think it's some underlying, I'm curious about what happened underground with Megan's relationship with the Jenners and the Kardashians, considering all the stuff that happened with her. Because I'm not gonna lie, when I watched that live stream, Megan was nervous and Cardi was nervous too. And the chemistry wasn't really there. And I wasn't expecting it to be no chemistry, but I felt, me being an empath, like, you said what?
What live stream?
They did a live stream that sort of talked about the lead up to the video. So it was either the night it dropped or the night, it was a part of their rollout, and they did it live together.
To me, it looked cute.
It was smart, but you can tell, like, I was wondering, like, I've seen Cardi on live. I've seen her, like, for her to be nervous, I was like, what's going on? Like, I understand this is the first time that she's done something this big in a long time, but Cardi is very authentic when she's on live. Like, she just be talking and shit. And Megan's energy was kind of different too. So I wonder, because there's been some talks about how she got to the party with Kylie, like all of this stuff. And I think, to me, I felt like Megan was like considering what happened in with the what's that boy named Tory Lanez situation, and Kylie posting that picture of her foot on Instagram. We don't know if she was trying to make a joke or something, but Kylie did post a picture of her leg and her foot on Instagram, and the girls ate Kylie ass up about that shit.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was, they were dragging her ass to that shit. So I wonder in my mind, like, because we still don't know what happened. Probably won't ever know what happened.
I mean, I did think about that too, like whether they were trying to intentionally quell some drama. But because Kylie made such a small appearance, because she was there and there were appearances by other notable Black women who ate it the fuck up. Because the song, everything, like when you look at the grand scheme of things, and even when you look at the reaction, we have sat with every other cut of this way longer than we did about Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner appearing in the video is the one thing I think we left at last Friday and Saturday.
Like
and once we got to this Monday, it was all discourse about use of the word pussy, policing Black women's bodies, Black women eating it up, this shit going up in the club, this shit going up in the strip club, the covers, the memes, all of this. The Kylie Jenner shit was last Friday. It was our instant reaction and we moved on. And I think Cardi felt
depressed about it. Like we was really angry and everything. I was like, no, Black folks just telling how they feel, and they can do that. They was giving they feelings at the moment, and it's like, girl, bitch didn't spend the whole 2 weeks talking about this shit. Like, dragged it, we moved on, and it's okay.
Yeah. But I want to talk about like their vibe on live, because I also, while they both have, I loved it, and I think that I didn't sense nerves, but I definitely sensed take this seriously, and so it looked like it was done in an intentional way, like everything else, because it is a part of a rollout. And so instead of it being I'm kikiing on live with my girl, like we have very intentional questions that we seek to answer with this. And then, I mean, I know we've gotten used to digital sort of being a default, but it is a little bit daunting to do something that is like, when I get on here and I just talk to y'all on FaceTime, the shit flies. When we sit down to do in the middle, the vibe's a little different. Because I need to think about my points, because I need to think about it in the context of the question, because this is for outside consumption versus it just being sitting here with y'all on FaceTime. You know what I'm saying? And so I think to give artists grace as people and to think about how I might feel this being my first appearance after experiencing a major traumatic event, a month before? Because Megan and Tori and the pool party and all that shit was word of the week 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And so to follow that up with and you probably, one could assume that because of the way that this was done, that was already in the works when that happened. And so if there was any nerve at all, it might have been just that, just like still dealing with the very real trauma of having experienced that type of violence that it seems like Megan or whoever else can't really speak on. Yeah. I mean, I've even heard conversation, because I haven't really been online that much because it's Black August, but I even heard conversation that Tory Lanez has been deported and all of that shit. And that's like, that's a very serious thing to be deported and sent back to a country. And that's some shit that Black folks deal with all the time. And so I think with Megan having all that surrounding her, Cardi always having the things surrounding her, they knew that coming into this that they had to make that conversation as polished and as pop and as well done as everything else that happened with this project. And so I give them grace on that.
I think it's that, but also Cardi has named a lot, like time and time again, that she is just a nervous girl. She talks all the time about how she still like gets nervous around other celebs because she doesn't see herself as a celeb as much. And this also was her first time back to music in 9 months. So I think like to me, the chemistry, I loved it. It felt very like, it did feel a lot more professional than she would be on live by herself. But like, it also felt really genuine. Like Megan was talking about how much she loved Cardi and how much like their like interaction really like shifted how she understood Cardi and how she was very different from like her online persona and in terms of like not being mean and stuff like that. And Cardi was just talking about how much she loved Megan, and like it felt very cute, but very like this is still about a project that we're doing, and we can't just be on here like.
Yeah, when I watched it, I didn't get two friends. I hate when folks try to make oh, they're best friends. I was like, girl, they can be two artists that are talented and make music together. They do not have to be good sis. Everybody don't need to be friends with the girls in the industry. Like, you don't. And I think
not get best friends at all.
Yes, but folks were
trying
trying
to make the same vibe as a lot of the verses.
Yeah, and that's
to me.
People were doing that, and then that's started the conversation. Was she still cool with Nicki? It's just like, why does that fucking matter? Like, why does that matter? Like, she can do music with these girls, and she
has always said she loves all the girls.
That's all the girls.
All the girls are kind.
I just get that, but
and Nicki is one of the girls.
Listen,
like, y'all keep wanting to make her not.
I wouldn't be surprised.
She is.
I wouldn't be surprised if Nicki was pressed about that shit. I know Nicki is pressed about that shit. That's just how Nicki is
pressed about her baby and being a mom. I really think that's where her head is.
Girl, no.
Nicki, and I'm not a Bart at all, but that woman is at the house pregnant.
And she's still searching her name on Instagram and Twitter and everything else. Because she was just talking about Eric and Tay, talking about her on a wig or some shit. But I be seeing the shit. But the girls were doing way too much. I was like, girl, let these girls put out some music. It's cute. Stop harassing this girl about her being cool with Nicki and this allegiance bullshit. They made a cute song. Let whatever is gonna develop. But girl, y'all be making shit worse.
And the gag of it is, it's like, girl, Hot Girl Summer. It is no tea, no shade. But Hot Girl Summer happened literally in a moment's notice because Nicki was begged by her fans to get on Megan's Live, and she hopped on Megan's Live, and that's when she decided, okay, well, I guess I'll send the verse in. If not for that, Nicki would not have collaborated with Megan. Yeah. So it's like, even in terms of how the collaboration with Cardi came about, it was much more authentic because it was like there was nobody forcing them. In fact, up until the announcement was made, or a few days before, because the fans were speculating, everyone thought that Cardi didn't like Megan. Yeah. Like, so it's like,
what's this? But I think the reason, I think the only reason why Nicki was on Hot Girl Summer is because they did a trial run and see how the fans were going to respond to it. Like, the fans want, okay, we'll do it. But I think Megan's team was like, do we want, I don't think they were interested in doing something with Nicki because they probably was like, we ain't trying to flop like Megatron. Ain't nobody played Megatron and I don't know how goddamn long. I'm just going to be honest. So that was them doing a group assessment. Oh, hey, girl, if we do it, the girls will talk about it. But, child, let these girls make their music. I don't need these these girls to be best friends to get no music. That's it.
Right.
So, all the girls are lovely. The song was beautiful. Well, the video for me was the selling point. I do think that they released the video to help the song, though. That's just my assessment on that.
I don't agree, but okay.
That song is, listen here. The song did everything it was supposed to fucking do. The verses are flawless. It's produced great. The beat is sickening. I would pop my pussy and my ass to this goddamn song, video or not. I'll let you in a little tea.
Oh, well,
I ain't watched the whole video.
You're a big Cardi fan. We know you go.
I have not watched the whole video. I've seen the clips on Twitter. I love that song so much, I play it every hour on the hour. I'm an auditory person that's visually talented. That's it. And for a nigga like me, who's a hip-hop head, who takes hip-hop seriously, and who takes these artists' hip-hop performance seriously, I absolutely would play the fuck out of that song. I'd anticipate a video, but like the collaboration with Beyonce, if it don't come with one, I'm good, because that song is so good, I'm gonna listen to the Savage remix, video or not. I ain't watched Black is King.
I think it's kind of,
and I like the songs.
This is kind of the first time that we've gotten, to my knowledge, a song and the video at the same time like this. Like, that's why I'm thinking that they used the video.
That was on purpose.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Party like, dragged by
her team ain't stupid. They ain't stupid. They, look, girl, we finna share these girls this song, and we gonna show them these cute visuals, and that's all these girls gonna be talking about for the next couple of days. And it worked. The shit gonna be #1 on Billboard next week. Period.
And it's #1 in over 35 countries around the world.
The Barty updates.
Wild.
Say what?
Nothing, but
that's my girl. Now that's my girl, Miss BU.
Got me good block, baby. Everybody was giving on Twitter. Everybody was every time the show.
Y'all are messy.
blocked, but we love to see it.
Again, got you blocked. They think you're a Barb.
Girl, everybody thinks I'm a Barb. I'm like, y'all can think what y'all want. It's supposed to think I'm a Cardi fan.
Justin don't listen to music, y'all.
I do allegedly, but they were saying that.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Like, girl, because I was watching, shout out to Expression Channel. What's her name? Expressive TV. Impressive Channel. She do not like Cardi B at all. She said the video.
And I don't like her.
Girl, she said the video was hypnotizing her. And I was like, impressive.
Girl, she always pop her ass on that little ugly ass platform and drag Cardi. Like, girl, go pay a bill.
Now, Sissy is making some money on YouTube.
I know she is because she's messy. So that's who make money.
She do. And what's funny is,
let me stop dragging.
This is just some offline. This is some offline shit. But it's so weird because folks like those folks who put out the tea, they're not known for their commentary on the shit. It's just give me what's going on.
Right.
So
look at Kaya.
Yeah, ain't nobody listening to her.
She's a model.
Yeah, ain't nobody going to her.
Nobody's expecting.
You edited that part out?
You said what?
It's off the record.
Are you editing
off the record?
Oh no, girl, this is on here.
Period.
Oh, girl, I don't care. Like I watch impressive TV, but it is what it is. Like sis, when shit be popping up, I don't be wanting your commentary. I just want you to give me the facts and the tea because I know that's all you got. But I ain't giving. I'm not coming to you to tell me about Kamala Harris being the VP. Just know that. So moving on, we're gonna talk about. I want to talk about really quickly, if we can, because we did not get a chance to talk about August Alsina and the situation with Jada Pinkett. What were our thoughts? Because there was some kind of mixed conversations a little bit. People were saying that Jada was a predator. And also some other folks were saying that August was a grown man. He can make his own decisions. What do y'all feel about that? I think, we talked about it, but I want to just, what's y'all quick takes on it real quick?
Yeah.
Nobody's big age escapes them from harm or being vulnerable to harm, abuse, manipulation, all the things that fall under that one. So I wanted to pop that bubble or crack that egg before we really get into it, because that part, Justin, what you just named, oh, he's a grown ass man and he can do what he wants. Like there's no room for that, because I put those types of explanations and rationalizations up there with, normalizing rape culture and all the other things. Like, no, consent's consent. Mm-hmm. I don't give a fuck like where you are in your big age or age of consent. And this is where I have my nuance with the state and all of the things, because I'm like, we should as people have the presence of mind to name a thing as a thing without there being a law or a statute or something mandating that we view it as such. While he is a grown person, I'm not going to ignore the part of the story where he was clearly in his lowest point and most vulnerable point in his life, and that he was looking at them, at the Smiths, as a place of refuge and restart and those things, and the relationship came from that. I'm not saying that he couldn't have formed an authentic relationship with her at all in his life, but in that moment, given what he was going through, I can understand, as somebody who has gone through similar predatory relationships at a similar mental health point in life, how you can be at a place where you would do something like that, where you would stay and all of the things, and you're not, I guess, like at your best. And you're not, to me, your consent is always compromised if you're experiencing a mental health crisis or, some sort of major life instability, especially when that person is of a more dominant space. She's older, she has access to more capital, more power, more influence, and her proximity, even in that situation, to Will and all of the things just made it uneven. I didn't get into the weeds of that situation. I'll be 100% transparent on it because it happened at a time when I was starting my summer school. So I sort of missed that. But what I have caught up on and what I have seen, including their interviews, it just came off to me as he was vulnerable. Mm-hmm. And it pisses me off that we have to fight for and give you all of the fucking laundry list of reasons why he might be.
I think that I have a very like complex take on that whole situation, because I think that Twitter doing what Twitter does led with a very one-sided like perspective of that whole thing, and it didn't sit well with me because
What was their perspective?
That Jada's a predator.
Okay.
August Alsina is the only victim here, and that's it, right? And I don't see it that way. I don't see Jada as a predator. I do think that Jada was engaging predatory behavior.
Come on.
I don't.
Right.
I'm not invested in labeling a person who engages in one moment of that as a predator, because I think that is the difference between harm and abuse for me. But beyond that, I also see Jada as a victim here, not a victim of August, but a victim of the overall situation, because Jada also named that she was in a very, very, very vulnerable moment with her and Will, where Will was like really hurt her and she was really hurting Will, and like they were separated. It was a whole like vulnerable moment. So really what it gave was like both of them were in these really deeply vulnerable states of being and leaned on one another in a time that was unhealthy for them both. But I don't see either of them as predators, because I also think, and Hunter made this point before, and I think it's a brilliant point. I think there has to be a disability justice brought into that, because who is to say that folks who are disabled cannot consent to sex, cannot consent to relations between them and another person, right? Like, so because I am at a vulnerable state of being, I can't consent to what I know I want in my body, right? I don't think that's true, but I do think that, I think that, so to me, what makes the behavior predatory is not so much that Jada engaged it in that way, is that she engaged it without considering the power dynamics, and her response to it was to not name it a relationship as it was, but to name it an entanglement. Yes. That is manipulative, and that's where it becomes predatory for me. Because
you think that was helpful for her to name it as an entanglement instead of saying a relationship?
Right. Like,
yes, it's absolutely harmful.
It's manipulative because that is to diminish the ways in which you engaged him, and the levels with which you engaged him as this human being who was able to consent to a relationship with you, right? And then when things were fine and well with you and your husband again, now it's no longer a relationship, it's an entanglement. And that completely confuses and dismisses his feelings, and almost in a lot of ways gaslights who they were and what they were prior to you becoming better with your husband again. So it's like, I see the situation as both of them being victims to a failing marriage, both of them being victims to their own vulnerabilities, and August Alsina being a victim to Jada's predatory behavior. But I cannot in good conscience name her as a predator, and I can't name him as the only victim in that situation, because so much of it was so deeply complicated.
So the one question that I had, because I think about sometimes when I'm working in the HIV field, and I've seen behavior where people who are at the top working in these organizations, how they are hire certain folks and want to mentor them and end up wanting to engage in sex with them. And I've been a victim of something close to that before, to somebody I looked up to who was doing all the things that I wanted to do. And I had sex with them, but the only reason why I had sex with them is because I was not attracted to them. I was attracted to what they were doing, and I wanted to be in that space. Is this what I have to do to like get on a little bit? And there was alcohol and all types of things involved. So it was just, I can see that. Like, even though some people say, well, Justin, you was 26, 27, I don't look at it as consensual.
People can be assaulted at any age.
Absolutely.
Any age. And when there's coercion involved, when there is like very inexplicit like terms of agreement, when there is drug and alcohol use and all the things, absolutely, that can absolutely be assault. And when people are engaging each other on false premises, right?
Yeah.
That is where it really becomes a big issue, where a lot of folks won't name it as assault, but it is. If you engage me with a working relationship, but your intent is to have sex with me, it is assault, because you engage me under false premises. And I think, but
using your power.
I don't see it necessarily. That's why I don't see their relationship as assault, because from my understanding, from what I've seen, he was already close to Will and Jada, but they're like in the next iteration of their relationship, there was like a mutual agreement on who they were and what they wanted it to be, which is why I take big issue, and why I think it's harmful for her to name it as an entanglement, because when you first connected with him in that moment, you two consented on what exactly the relationship was. You had a very clear agreement on what it was that you were involving yourself in, and it's fucked up for you to renege on that and gaslight him because you're now in a good place with your husband. But what I also think is an important conversation to have, and what I named it on Twitter, is it's important to really have a conversation about the mentor to sexual violence pipeline, where you are mentoring a person, because he was calling Will Smith Pops.
Yes.
Right? Like, that was the thing that
Will Smith was calling him. What was his Og?
Og, right? They had a whole.
I think they were cool. What's the name was cool? August was cool with Jaden, so they were friends. And then I think that was the first integration. And then he was going through, and then they reached out to help. Right. My question was, did you only offer help because you were attracted to him? Like, because I noticed some people do that. And then we talk about like folks being at the top, and how, I ain't gonna lie, a lot of folks who work in HIV, a lot of them be looking desirable as fuck. A lot of them don't look like me. And I know they get put on by these older men who be working in because they're attracted to them. I mean, I brought it up several times. I think one of my friends even did a whole class about it for, I can't think of this organization that was doing some STI and HIV work, but it happens a lot. Yeah. And I noticed that. And I know for me, when I engage in helping someone or trying to get their platform or do whatever, I have to recognize that too. Like I have to recognize, I try to make myself very clear, like, hey girl, this is what it is, because I have been accused of that before. And I think that person used that as an attack, because I never agreed to help their ass at all. Like, cause girl, it was nothing to help. You just didn't have it. But I think I'm very clear, and even relationships with folks who when I was dating, who were online and doing all that, like, look, you won't be in any of my videos. I won't mention you, any of that. Like, until like probably a year or two was the first time I ever had like anybody that was in any of my videos I've had any sexual relationship with. Like, I just don't do that. I don't try to mix it, because I know that shit can be dangerous. Folks will come to me, not because they're attracted to me, but because they're trying to get put on. And I don't want to do the thing that somebody did to me. Right. And try to make it seem like you got to sleep with me to get put on or to get some type of help. If I want to help you, I'm going to help you. And that's just on that. And it's not impossible to do both. Yeah. But you have to name your intentions from the beginning. There's been a couple of videos. Somebody that I'm in my videos. Right. No shade.
Right. And I mean, but it comes with the mutual respect for one another. And here's my thing about it. Because one, I want to thank Deshaun for naming a thing with the gaslighting piece. Because as I've opened up more recently, my followers know, as I've opened up more recently and been a lot more transparent about, I am very, very sensitive and highly triggered with manipulative gaslighting relationships, because I have been in an abusive relationship, not harmful, not just, oh, this person harmed me in a situation. No, I mean, literal abuse for years. And most of it was emotional and just mental manipulation. And so much of it was gaslighting. And when the entanglement piece took off, for me, that was when I got on I'm disassociating from the internet for a minute, because I fucking can't, because you took the entanglement piece and made it a spectacle and made it like catchy. And I'm starting to see this shit on cups and mugs and t-shirts and headers and templates for, you know, digital content making and all this bullshit. And that is why, as people who experience gaslighting, it's, you almost get gaslit into not being able to name gaslighting as violence, as this sort of abusive sort of harm, because that's how it fucks with your mind. And like, for her to be like, for Will and Jada to be propped up, whether it be speculative or confirmed, as this sort of, as this model of, I guess, polyamorous or I guess non-monogamous relations or whatever, like, you know, that's always the kiki or the common joke. Like, we know they got an open marriage. They question Will's sexuality. They question Jada's sexuality. If they know that to be their sort of way of, I guess, being perceived, this was the ultimate opportunity to say that, hey, we do have that type of relationship. And this is how we engaged it. And yes, it was a fucked up moment because of the mental state that Jada and August were in. And we saw the trauma bond as a way that they held each other in that situation, given all of the things, because I too have been in a low place in a trauma bond relationship with a person in a equally low place. We harmed each other a lot because we were experiencing harm from everywhere else, and nobody was holding us but each other and all the substances we abused. And now that we're better or more aware of that situation, we've had the hard fucking conversations and talked through it. I wouldn't have been able to do that without psychotherapy and without all of the other things that I had to go through as an individual to then revisit that situation and say, this is what happened. And so for her to know that that relationship was that complicated, and then be on her platform with her husband, talking to this man who's been brought in essentially to the red table because he chose to tell his piece and his story, it got really fucking violent for me. And I feel like that's probably why I've sort of, I guess, went around this conversation a lot, because the gaslighting piece is triggering. And if folks out there, you know, have similar experiences, like, I see you in that, because that shit, you go through all that, you tell that story, you're looked at a certain way. August Alsina gave us some bops, but August Alsina is not a superstar R&B singer. I'm glad he's back. I liked his music. But now that shit there is going to follow him in a way that it won't follow Will and Jada, because we're going to forget to talk about that with Will and Jada in 6 months or a year, when the next blockbuster movie drops for him or when the next TV role drops for her. But he don't get to look back and be an icon like them. And so now if he wants to do anything beyond that, we're going to always talk about this. We're going to question his mental health. We're going to question his capabilities. We're going to question his decision-making, because he was that transparent, and the more dominant or the more powerful person in that relationship had her place to affirm it, and she still called it an entanglement, because that's what it was for her, because she had the privilege to move beyond that. Right. And it's really why I'm so invested in abolishing marriage and the family and all of the other things that come with this whole idea that we have to embody this certain way of being in relation to each other, regardless of how harmful it is, to the point where it doesn't give us space to actually do the healing work. Because now, because she did that, I don't see August coming to her and asking for a productive space to actually work through the shit. Because as somebody who's experienced that, I wouldn't feel it'd be safe to be in a space with her to do that work. And so how do we know that he's able to move beyond it now, or she's able to move beyond it now and even see her harm is valid, or the violence she experienced is valid, because of the gaslighting? It's really, I don't know. I get rubbed away about gaslighting. So I wanted to really speak on that point.
Period.
We will arrest you and we will take you to jail. Period. There should be nothing unambiguous about that.
We will take you to jail.
Yes.
No questions asked.
Period.
That shit
Period.
was the perfect reaction video to Kamala Harris being announced as the fucking vice president. I have never seen a more perfect tweet.
Girl.
You will go to jail.
Period.
So let's see you in prison. Ain't that what Jocelyn said?
She said, I never called the police on you before, but now I will call the police on you. See you in prison.
See you in jail,
Let me tell you something.
So prisons. Kamala Harris is the VP for Joe Biden.
After a long summer.
I knew it was coming though. I knew.
Choice. There was no other choice he could make.
Yeah, I think the black folks was gonna eat him up because they had leaked that he met with the governor of Michigan to see what the response was gonna be like. And you had your what is her name? They love having her light skinned ass all on.
Amanda Seals?
No, the other girl who be giving black commentary on political shit.
Oh, you talking about motherfucker Angela Rye.
Yes.
Yeah.
I ain't seen her on CNN in forever.
Good.
That's shade for her, but no, now she on there because you got a black VP. Now she watching these folks gas this shit up and being so happy about it is.
Angela Rye is so fucking annoying. I can't stand that lady. And I don't think she like me either, but I don't like her. Like, please shut the fuck up.
She'd be happy to be on there using all type of language and shit.
She's so radical. Like, girl, shut the fuck up. Like, oh, she makes me so sick. But Kamala, Top Cop, whatever you want to call her, she also makes me sick. And I think, you know, we are approaching 4 years post-Obama, and people are still finding some sort of hope and joy in having a shared identity with a war criminal. And it's like, y'all are weird. Like, y'all are big weirdos because we saw Obama for 4 years straight break records as one of the worst presidents ever in terms of deportations, in terms of bombings, in terms of like all the things. In 2016 alone, this nigga had record bombing numbers. We saw him do that in 8 years of a presidency.
Yeah.
8 fucking years of a presidency. And y'all are excited because Kamala's ass is going to be in office, and she more than likely will be the next president following Biden if you know he makes it to the first term, if they win, because you know he might not make it to the first term. So it's like this woman's gonna be in office for a good minute, she wants to lock us up. She wants to fucking
her party now. Like
what?
She's going to be the leader of the Democratic Party now.
Absolutely. And that's on purpose. That was her thing. That was on purpose.
She's in her 50s. Like,
They wanted her to do it. They wanted Corey to do it. They wanted to see the next token nigger. They had high hopes for Stacey Abrams. They had some thread of joy for fucking Keisha Bottoms. They've been looking for that next Obama. You're absolutely right.
I'm just glad I don't have to see Keisha beg to be the VP no more on fucking CNN on Sunday.
The thing is, she's not done. Keisha ass gonna keep begging,
but she won't be on the shit I'm watching.
She won't
watching because they're not inviting her ass for no comment. Let me tell you something, Keisha. They was never gonna choose your ass to begin with, girl. You were never going to get picked, sis.
Time around, it's true. She was never going to be that girl. Like, you were never that girl.
I don't think she was on the short list, to be honest. I don't think she was.
I know that I absolutely do think that she was part of the considerations, but that's only because Biden only had, his only choice was to choose a black woman. That was his only choice. That was his only hope to win. So it was only ever going to be between Kamala, Stacey, and Keisha. But the thing about it, Keisha, is that you are literally the least competent of the three. So you literally didn't have a single choice unless Stacey and Kamala died. And they were not going to die because both of them young as fuck. So you didn't have a choice. Like, you were never going to be that girl because you're never that girl. So it's like, Keisha, baby, you tap danced around the motherfucking city, retired, let all these niggas motherfucking be harassed and shot and bothered by police. You let motherfucking Brian Kemp do his motherfucking thing for the whole motherfucking summer to niggas in the city, only for your ass to lose. I know you embarrassed. I know you embarrassed, girl, because you let your ass, you abandoned the city only to lose. He had to choose another Negro woman.
To a cop.
Another Negro woman, and I know you embarrassed. And Kamala, like, it's gonna be a key to me if I should say, just so I don't have to bite the bullet later on. If Joe Biden and Kamala lose, I'm gonna laugh. I'm gonna laugh because y'all went through all these schemes, all these ploys. Y'all did all these little setups now, only to lose a second term to the most incompetent man we have ever witnessed run for the office of the presidency. I have to laugh. Truly, I have to laugh.
Girl, because
it's hilarious. It's the only thing that's gonna get us through this bullshit. And it's like, as an abolitionist, as somebody who's tired, as somebody who is so beyond America, like everybody else that I read and like the niggas have been writing about it for generations. I mean, this summer, as a part of my summer reading, I had to read things like The Philadelphia Negro that Du Bois wrote in like 1898. And he was talking about it then. I read Fanon from the 50s, Césaire from the 50s. It is the same shit. Malcolm X from the 50s and 60s. I mean, what is it going to take for y'all to realize that this is not where we should be spending our energy? Regardless of the anti-racism moment that we're having, because we know at the end of the day, like, the fact that it's open season on niggas has never been enough to shift this country, because it's what the country is built on. Right. The global pandemic alone, and the very way that Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative alike have handled it thus far, the way that they blatantly show you that the only time that they're going to care is when they need something from you in terms of tax dollars or votes. Like, why the fuck do you think, regardless of who they look like, it could literally be a person in Joker paint, like as the literal Joker, coming up with polished talking points and all of the things, and that person would still not serve you? The very way that we view the idea of representation is fundamentally flawed in this country. And if you think a nation that is built on indigenous dispossession and genocide and Black slavery, and then upheld through anti-Black, anti-indigenous violence that is built on white supremacy, a person with my face could sit in that office and make that office and that position work for you, is flawed. And then on top of that, the very idea that we think a single person needs to represent the best interests of millions of people, I mean, really the whole globe, because we give the US this sort of moniker as the bastion of the free world, or the country that the world follows, whatever modernity has lied to us and said. Like, I'm tired, because I don't know how many more points I gotta pull out of my ass, how many tweets from 4 or 5 years ago I gotta bring back, how many book passages written 100 years ago that we gotta point to say that this is not our salvation. And it is triggering for me. You know, voting seasons always are, because as an organizer, somebody actually invested in the people's governance of their cities, their states, whatever the institution may be. Fuck it, your job. You should have collective governance of your job as a worker. It should be a workers' own cooperative. You should have a fucking boss and a manager and the head of the company and all of these other things. The fact that we continue to buy into that hierarchy because we think that because of positive representation that we have a space in that is beyond me. And that is what has me sick and tired. And nowhere else in this world, I'm not gonna say nowhere else in this world, because there are other examples that exist. There are other possibilities beyond this. I'm not gonna let capitalism limit me in my imagination. However, the way the US is set up as is does not work. And the way that this entire summer has gone, the way that the last 4 years has supposedly have gone. All you anti-Trumpers, we need something new, something better, something that's not this, where you continue to fail yourself and the people is investing in this system. I get sick at night thinking how many folks are hurting anyway because of our society, but really how many folks are hurting given this global pandemic and the shit that we don't even know that's on the other side of it. I mean, I've been hearing things like, shit's not going to be good until this time next year, possibly, and that's if there's a vaccine. I don't think niggas understand that, but I want us to sit with that.
We are too far gone. We are too far fucked up.
We're too far gone, but also, like, investing in this isn't it. So my whole beef with the whole thing is that part. How much Black labor, Black likeness, consumption of Black culture, the shift and more discourse within our Black community, our discourse with our own, allied communities, and all of the things that we've done, it's all at stake now because they've issued us the fucking pacifier that we told you was coming. Biden told you it was coming. All the news has told you it was coming. For the last 6 months, roughly, we've been speculating that he's going to pick a Black woman. So which one is it going to be? And instead of us holding Kamala accountable as a fucking state senator or a U.S. senator to do some shit, Biden as who he is to do some shit. Even the women that were also up on the short list, Stacey Abrams, Keisha Lance Bottoms, they've repeatedly put their foot in their mouths when all we asked them to do was the bare minimum. Deliver for your people. And I don't mean a fucking mask mandate. I mean, deliver tangible material investment in your people to improve their status quo. So then maybe they might want to do something else besides burn this bitch down. Y'all aren't invested in it not going up into flames. Because if you were, none of this, I wouldn't even bat an eye at it. When I learned that Kamala Harris was going to be the presumptive VP candidate and then the confirmed VP candidate, it was another thing on my timeline. Because I was like, well, joke's going to be great for that one. But I'm so far removed from that shit because I'm so invested in my and everybody else's actual liberation, in the actual undoing of this shit, that to have to be forced to see this at every turn when my state is the 5th largest state for COVID-19 cases in the country, in a country that is number 1 in the world, where the cases have not stopped going up, when it is killing Black folks, brown folks, poor folks in droves, in fucking droves, and you want me to stop what I'm doing. Pay attention to this and invest all my hope in this maybe getting better, into this system that has never served my people as descendants of slaves, as still slaves. You want me to give a fuck? The jokes are actually the one thing that might be keeping me sane. Period. Well enough to sit here and have a conversation about it. Because voting in elections give me PTSD. Because I've experienced them at the state, federal, and city local level in ways that are so intimately and intensely violent that I can't even begin to put that into words for people. And I don't think folks who engage in a limited manner or in a lazy manner through just casting a ballot box and saying I'm a Democrat will ever be able to get or know.
So Georgia not only is number 5, but we also test more positive people per 100,000.
Yeah.
So it's Barbie, bitch. Like, this shit is it is a fucking fool. So I don't, Deshaun, you about to get somewhere. Were you about to say something? Okay. Because I also wanted to talk about this quote unquote accountability. I don't know if you about to touch on that, because I'm ready to read this Instagram post for the girls. I already got her pulled up.
Oh, you're gonna read Miss Ava DuVernay?
Yes. So that's what you got to go
and read her so I can read her down.
You want me to read it?
Come on.
Yeah.
So Ava DuVernay came out and she just basically said, "I'm sick of y'all shit. Leave Kamala alone." And she posted this on Instagram. "There is no debate anymore. There is no room for it in my book. We either make this happen or literally more of us perish. People are dying. Someone I love died. The virus is real. If it hasn't visited your doorstep, it will. oh, but Kamala did this or she didn't do that, I hear you. I know, and I don't care. Because what she didn't do is abandon citizens in a pandemic, RIP babies from their mothers, rip babies from their mothers' arms at the border, send federal troops to terrorize protesters, manufacture new ways to suppress Black and brown votes, actively disrespect indigenous people and land, traffic in white supremacist rhetoric, and effort to stir racist violence at every turn, attempt to dismantle most American democratic systems of checks and balance, degrade women all day, every day, infect the Supreme Court with another misogynist hack, demolish America's standing on climate, actively cultivate and further white supremacist structures and systems across the aspects of American daily life. I mean, that's what she didn't do. So I don't want to hear anything bad about her. It doesn't matter to me. Vote them in and let's hold them accountable. Anything other than that is insanity. It's ego. It's against our own interests. It's selfish. It's disrespectful to our elders. It's nonsense. It's talking to hear yourself talk. This is a matter of life or death. We need all our energy focused. This is a fight for more than can be expressed here. There is no debate anymore. Not for me anyway. Vote blue 2020. Comments turned off.
And
she wrote a whole script to say nothing.
To her, I say, fuck you, period. Because you had the audacity, you had the motherfucking nerve to direct Thelma, to direct 13th, and to direct When They See Us, and put this liberal ass bullshit on Instagram, disregarding every fucking horrible thing that Kamala Harris has done to niggas, to queer folks, to trans folks, because you afraid of Trump. Who, girl, fuck you. Like literally, it's the biggest of fuck yous to Ava, to Ava, whatever the fuck her name is, forever and always. Because Kamala, she said Kamala didn't degrade women day in and day out, but Kamala is the one who plays trans women in men's prisons. She said Kamala didn't degrade women day in and day out, but Kamala is the one who was ripping niggas away from their moms to send them to jail. She said Kamala didn't disregard folks in the middle of this pandemic, but folks in Cali are asking Kamala where the fuck she's been for the last 5 months to support folks in Cali who has not been supported by her throughout this pandemic, right? So
in the top 10 states.
You asking, huh?
I was saying California is one of the top 5 states with the highest COVID.
It was the first state to surpass 500,000 cases. There are nations on this earth with way less cases than the state of California that she's the fucking senator from. Right.
Like, it's just, how dare you read these things that people are saying about this woman that has literally, baby, has literally been what drives your career. You don't have a career without Selma. You don't have a career without 13th. And you don't have a career without When They See Us. Because let's be clear, A Wrinkle in Time didn't sell shit. So you don't have a career without those 3 films. And those films are predicated on the exact system that Kamala Harris has been overly invested in, that has had a vested interest in, that has ripped Black families apart, that has ripped Black people from their homes, from their livelihood, from their well-being. That's your career. That's what your career is built off of, babes. So I'm not really understanding how the fuck you can say, I know and I don't care. Actually, I do know, and it's because you have a commitment to your class and class solidarity over race solidarity. You have a commitment to being aligned with those who are most aligned with you. And the reality is you don't know niggas. The reality is you are not aligned with niggas. The reality is that you're aligned with those who are the elite, those who are at the top. And you might say you're aligned with niggas because you're aligned with Oprah, but y'all don't fucking know niggas. Y'all know dollars. Period. And so my frustration, like, I'm so angry with her because I don't expect shit from celebrities. Let's be very clear. But it angers me because I had critiques of 13th from the very beginning because she made, for one, she removed so many of the actual Democrats who overly invested in the prison systems, who in a lot of ways created the prison systems, like the Clintons, like Biden, like Sanders, right? She ignored them in her whole documentary. as a way to make it a partisan issue, and it was never a partisan issue because both parties were heavily invested in the creation and maintenance of the prison system. But beyond that, like, you made it seem like mass incarceration was only affecting Black men, as Black cis men, as if Black women, Black trans folks were not being affected by mass incarceration. But Kamala, the woman who was locking up sex workers, Black women sex workers, and Black trans women in men's prisons, can tell you otherwise because she was invested in it. So to me, it's like, so you already we're so far removed from like the reality of Black folks in this country that I'm not surprised at all by these statements. But I am. It's a disgusting reality to know that this person who built a career off of the harms and the abuse of Black people, to say that she doesn't care about what we are saying because Kamala's better than Trump. When the reality for so many people,
come on, talk about it.
The reality for so many people is that Kamala has a worse track record than Trump in the last 4 years.
Ever could.
The reality is that Kamala and Joe Biden have a worse track record than Trump. That's the reality. The reality is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have been, as part of the establishment, they have been establishment Dems, which means they have been over-invested for years in the disenfranchisement of Black people, of brown people.
Come on.
And so, yes, Trump is horrid. And my life has not looked different under Keisha Lance Bottom's mayorship, nor did it look different under Kasim Reed's mayorship. And so therefore, Black folks in California's lives have not looked different under Kamala Harris's leadership than it did under Obama and then it does now under Trump, right? Because that's the reality, is that Trump is not any worse than the rest of these politicians, these career politicians who have been invested in our disenfranchisement and our oppression for decades.
Right.
So when we talk about accountability,
there is no accountability.
There is no accountability.
That's what they're trying to argue. That's what she was arguing in this post, is that vote them in, let us allow them accountability. But honestly, accountability is already, even before we even vote, people are not even able to protest like they've been able to protest in other elections because they're not doing those meetups, like when Clinton came to when she came to the AUC and she came to these other places. That's not happening now. Like, they're not going to, it's going to be very much online, very much stopping folks who you're not going to be able to get in. You're not going to be able to get in and have any type of stopping something or showing solidarity with this. It's going to be impossible this election. Like, it's not going to happen. So I'm just trying to see where the accountability is coming from, even from that. Like,
this is the thing with accountability that I need people to really wrap their minds around. Accountability requires consent, it requires community, and it requires commitment. 3 C's. The person who is being held accountable has to consent to being held accountable and be committed to relinquishing their power, meaning to give up their power, right? Mm-hmm. Acknowledge the harm and abuse that they've done, and be committed to a transformative process and an overall transformative life that does away with the harm or the abuse that they've committed. And it requires for the people who are holding them accountable to be in community with them. That's what accountability looks like. If that's not happening, it's not accountability. And the reality is that there's no way in the world. What does it look like for us to hold accountable a person who at the press of a button can drop a bomb on us? Who at the whip of a pen can have somebody at my front door right now shooting me, right? What does it look like for a person who has that much power to be held accountable by us? And the reality is that it doesn't. Black folks, the people, we have no political power in the US. And for as long as the U.S. exists, we can have no political power. And therefore, we don't have any room or right or ability to hold presidents accountable, because holding the president accountable of the crimes of the U.S. means destroying the U.S. And unless and until we are destroying the U.S., there is no accountability, right? And people on Twitter today were trying to, like, they were joking, but it's not funny. They were like, well, JFK and Abraham Lincoln, they were murdered. That's not accountability, because the president was murdered, but the U.S. still stands.
Period.
Unless and until we are destroying the U.S., there is no accountability, which is why no one who says that liberal ass bullshit will tell you what accountability looks like. They'll say, well, we'll hold them accountable, we'll hold them accountable, we'll hold them accountable. But when myself and 8 of my other friends went to protest Hillary Clinton, we got booed and still are being harassed to this day with death threats from liberals who didn't like that what we were doing, right? But we're gonna hold them accountable. But when folks were naming the harms and the abuses done by Obama, consistently to this day are always harassed by liberals, but we holding them accountable, right? What does it mean to hold these people accountable, right?
Not she in distress.
Not she in distress. Like, what does it mean to hold these people accountable when you are actively telling people every day who are invested in some way, holding them to account? We didn't hold Hillary accountable, but we were invested in holding her to account of what she's done.
Come on, ability missing.
What does it mean?
We can take account of it. We can count the ways.
Right. What does it mean for you to be saying you're invested in accountability when you are actively telling people that they cannot be invested at all in naming the abuse that's been done? You can't hold somebody accountable if you ain't naming the abuse.
Period. Because that's where it starts.
That's where it starts. You don't have nothing to hold them accountable to if there's no abuse. So if there's some abuse to name, there has to be the ability to name the abuse, to name the harm. And if we cannot do that, then babes, there is no accountability. So there is no way you hold a president of the United States accountable unless you are destroying the U.S., period.
Period. I think people like Ava DuVernay see that accountability is possible because her privileged ass is able to hold someone like Kamala as a member of her own community.
Right.
Because they are members of the same sorority, because they have the same position of privilege. I wouldn't even say the same, because Kamala has access to the powers of the anti-Black violent federal government at her disposal. And that is what's wrong with selective representation politics. And that is why, for all of you who have sat here and dragged other revolutionary students who went to HBCUs or other members of Black Greek organizations for choosing to have a voice in that and to name how they won't stand for it, to call for the abolition of the things that allow these things to be possible as a means of accountability to their organizations and to their institutions, you won't ever see change, because even within your own communities, you refuse to hold it accountable. What does it look like for people who went to HBCUs to say, actually, them kids over there saying like we need to abolish Morehouse in order for queer folks to live on this campus? They might be making some fucking points because they might have been hunted down on that campus for being who they are. And maybe we should listen to that. Or for inductees into the same organization to say, if our organization is to exist or persist, or maybe the persistence of said organizations are the very harm and danger to the community that we're trying to free and to build something beyond, we got to let go of that. And to me, when I read Ava's response, it gave me that, but it also gave me carceral feminism and the affirmation of that. Because my immediate response, I posted an old video about carceral feminism with a Kamala Harris marching down the hallway, and then it looks like marching the people to jail. Kiki, but I was very serious, because I define carceral feminism as the advocacy for advancing the growth of the police state, the prison industrial complex, and or the advocacy of strict codes of social policing to quell vice and vagrancy, and the otherwise unruly waywardness as a means of protecting women, children, and other marginalized folks. When I think about Kamala Harris's rhetoric and the people who are okay with it, it shows me exactly how far we have to go as abolitionists, because far too many of you are willing, I mean loudly with your fucking chest, willing to throw the niggas you do know that you have community with, that are members of your own family, of your own church, of your own school, of your own personal intimate community. You are willing to throw them away or be complicit with their policing and them being thrown away because you see some sort of hope for better in a person who engages in that activity. And that shit's not okay. As long as you continue, you look at the very violences, the way that she has engaged the police state, right? Not just as being top cop, but the policies. It's textbook carceral feminist policies. I took a globalization and gender class at Georgia State last fall, and we had a whole section on carceral feminism. And it was most of the literature was tied to discourse around policy surrounding sex workers of all backgrounds, but mainly immigrant women of color and Black women in the United States. And you go all the way back. This is why Saidiya Hartman's Wayward Lives, Beautiful Experiments is so fucking important, because she rereads Du Bois's The Philadelphia Negro for what it was. Progressive era, carceral feminist bullshit. Du Bois, even in his nuance and even in his brilliance in tying the way that Black folks have an impossibility of having a family, impossibility of being looked at as anything but sexually deviant, how the plantation had already set them up for failure anyway. So then to think that they could perform proper family or proper being for the time, it would be ludicrous. And so his whole call to action was investment in this progressive uplift state that then manifested itself in Black mutual aid organizations, which is how we get the birth of said institutions like the HBCU and the Black Greek Letter Organization. That's the history of it. So looking back at that history, I think that in a way, these institutions like the penitentiary itself are cages. They are inherent cages, because in order for you to be read legible, to be accepted into them, you have to fundamentally shift everything about you that is against the law of being, whether it be against the law of the state or the law of what we consider to be proper humanship. You have to show up as a proper, legible man or woman, a properly legible feminine person or masculine person. All of the things that we as abolitionists sit here and say that we are fundamentally here to undo so that people may actually live, a figure like Kamala Harris and her allies who are of the same community, who think because of that proximity they could hold her accountable even in the position as being the most important person on the face of this earth, it's wild to me. And there again, as an abolitionist, as somebody in like literally who has devoted themselves to this work, to living otherwise, to knowing that I check all of the same boxes that could go into on paper what they would accept because of my light skin, my advanced education, my long resume, I can properly code switch, all of the things, right? But who I actually am without those prisons, without those cages, without the exhaustion of performing that because you look at me and say that is what I should be, the pinnacle of my life should be to be one of those African Americans. So I have to reject the nigga that I am to fit into that box. And only after I have been violently indoctrinated into those cages, it's no different than an actual prison. So to say that the people who support police and prisons are a fan of Kamala and Joe because they're tough on crime, somebody like Ava DuVernay who sits in her shit and her privilege, who kissed the feet of Oprah and all the others who kiki and tap dance for all the other motherfucking rich ass coons out here who don't care whether you live or die. They actually really don't. And your death actually give them content that then makes them legible as artists. But that's a whole nother conversation. We gotta be on their asses in the same way that we're on the Trumps and the Bidens and the Harrises of the world. Because even if we abolish the office of president, the office of senator, the office of all of these hierarchical leaderships that reinforce the cages of life, as long as we allow people like Ava DuVernay to make such comments and we affirm it because of our pseudo relationship to them as being thought of in the same community, we'll continue to police ourselves, and we'll continue to police ourselves right into the same cycles. And I'm actually really sick of it. I'm so sick of respectable Blackness. I don't know what to fucking do. Because as somebody who's navigated both worlds, I'm here to tell you ain't shit there for you when you realize who you actually are as a person. When you stop fucking performing and realize who you are, when you let yourself free from that cage, you too will look at that tweet or that post from Ava DuVernay and feel the same way that we do. And maybe you'll get to the point where you'll let go of that fucking ballot box too. But I'm sick of it.
Ava, she has positioned herself as an educator, as someone with a specific type of intelligence, a specific type of brilliance that allows for her to believe that what she says goes, and that what she says is right, and that what she says can be said without being checked, right? Without being countered. And I would love to know from her how can you be an educator on something you don't know about? How do you educate people on a thing that outside of your filmmaking you have no knowledge of, right? You got into cahoots with the Central Park Five, and you did enough in the documentary to name that mass incarceration was a thing that we've all known about for the last several decades. And you told the story of Selma that we've all heard so many times from John Lewis.
Even bloody. And
outside of that, you don't know anything. So how do you educate on a thing that you've not done the work on? What have you read, Ava? What have you engaged? Who have you listened to? Who have you spoken with? Right? Like Oprah, Tyler Perry. Baby, if that's who you learning from,
we all doomed.
We all doomed. And you may as well call on Medea because she got more knowledge than the rest of them. So it's like, I'm saying we because I am someone who also has been positioned as, and who positions myself as, an educator. We have a very particular, very specific responsibility as educators, with people who have been tasked with teaching people about these very things. We have a responsibility to do the work of reading and hearing and listening to people speak on the things that we are teaching about, right? To be able to have the full knowledge and understanding about what it is that we're talking about, because otherwise we lead people with our platforms astray. Because the reality is this: once you've been positioned as an educator, what you say goes, period. People are not going out to do the extra reading. They're not going out to do the extra research. They are saying, Ava DuVernay, Deshaun Harrison, Justin James, T. Troutman, they said this, and therefore it's right. And so I'm going to repeat it now to all these other people because I heard it from them. So now you, as a person with the platform, have misspoken to all these people who are now telling everyone else what you said, right? And taking it as fact and as truth.
And so give even more.
And we'll give even more, exactly. So you have to really take this shit seriously. I take it so seriously that people trust me enough with their political education to want to listen to me and to want to read the words that I write, to be able to gain particular knowledge on specific issues. So much so that I'm so overly invested in telling the truth and doing the work of reading and investing in what I'm teaching about, so that I don't lead people astray. So for her to for her to write the words, I hear you, acknowledging that she's listened to the words that we've said, I know, acknowledging that she's done at least a little bit of work of knowing what has been done, and I don't care, to say, I've acknowledged that I heard you, I've done the work of learning, and I don't care, says to me that you cannot position yourself as an educator ever again, because you are not committed to the lives of Black people and the liberation of Black people. You are only committed to your well-being and your wellness and your ability to be able to exist in a world where Trump doesn't exist as president, because it's easier for you to ignore the issues, even though under Trump's presidency and under Obama's presidency, I've been poured the same. Even though under Trump's presidency and under Obama's presidency, I was dealing with having no health care, right? My material reality has shifted very little under either presidency, but yours has shifted because you've been able to be more annoyed by the realities that Black folks who are poor have dealt with every single fucking day. And that means that you cannot be an educator because you are not educated on the issues. You're ignorant as fuck. And you can be that, but be that alone in your mansion, in your house, over there with your dog or whoever the fuck you hang out with, and leave the rest of us alone, because the rest of us have actual work to do, have actual people that we're committed to teaching, and you're only committed to keeping your money intact. And that has to be acknowledged, and it is the truth. And until we sit with that truth, I don't want to hear a single goddamn thing from Ava DuVernay ever again.
Period. I saw that post shared on my Instagram a couple of times. So when you talk about, you know, people taking what she said as word, like this is fact, it's very true. And I literally like shared and was like, girl, what the fuck is this shit? Like they had even D.L. Hewley, who said so much dumbass shit. They were quoting him, sharing what he said, like y'all out here attacking this Black woman, trying to call it misogynoir. Sis is a whole politician. If we can't have conversations of what can we do now, definitely understand there's going to be all types of shit coming from the white folks and some Black folks saying, you know, some trash ass shit. I expect that they're going to use all type of racist tropes and all the other shit. I
we can address that.
But and we're not saying that, you know, that shit is not wrong. I know I'm not saying that this shit is not wrong, but we're talking about the policies. That's what we're talking about, the harm that this person can do with that type of power and what they have done already with power that was less than. So what are we pushing forward? And I've asked myself this and asked in my video, if y'all don't see that this election is already fucked already, and we even went to the booths, like, bitch, it's already fucked now. Like, sis, I'm not trying to scare nobody, but I would not be surprised if this person says, oh, bitch, I'm not taking that shit. Like, I'm not.
He don't concede. Ever since we got on the other side of the 6 months until the election, ever since COVID-19 ramped up, and I retweet every time I've said this, and then I'll say something new. The way that fascism works is to eliminate all means of participation in the commons, in the public, that you have possible. And as Deshaun so eloquently explained, what the 3 C's of accountability are, communities probably the most important part of it. Community and consent, right? Got to be in community to consent, like they go hand in hand. They're eliminating every means that you have to be in community with one another. Capitalism has always done that. Slavery has always done that. And to some extent, you know, the way that this world is set up in its system of cages, it's impossible anyway, right? So knowing that that is the context, why would you think that someone who's an actual fascist, whether they have the language to name that or not, I won't even say that Trump is a fascist, yes. I don't know if he self-identifies as one. But above all, he's the head of a fascist regime that is America. And America has always been a fascist regime, whether it is against class, right? Because even the original white men who had the access and the right to vote from the outset structured it in a way that you had to be landowning, meaning you had to be wealthy, meaning you needed some degree of difference from just being somebody who breathes air and has a heart that beats to be legible enough to participate in this thing that we call a community or a nation. So if the nation is built on that, you already don't have access to what's necessary to be a part of the accountability process that we call voting and civic engagement. Right. The best civic engagement that I've seen is what popped off in the fucking streets and the mutual aid organizing that happened on the heels of COVID-19. The radical acceptance of the fact that this state has never served us, never will serve us, so how do we serve each other? Shout out to the people who got to know their neighbors. Shout out to the people who got to know their neighbors deeper. Shout out to the people who navigated harm, violence, sickness, all of the fucking things, job loss, like sudden things too, and continue to hold each other. You have what it takes to do something otherwise. You may not realize it yet, but those skills that you've learned being in community with each other, even if it has just been for this short amount of time, like if you took the risk of going to the job to get what was necessary for your coworker to work from home, you've been doing that work. Right. So who should you put your trust in beyond people you're actually connected to who would do that kind of labor and work for you? So none of us should buy into the image of a single person or a small group of people as representative of a body of multifaceted communities under a nation that is fascist. Under the line of fascism, they've been talking about canceling elections. If you really give a fuck about the electoral process, let's just walk through the steps and how we've gotten here. In Georgia alone, I can't speak for every state, our primary was supposed to have been in April, as it always is. When COVID-19 popped off and we knew we wasn't gonna make it through April without being in quarantine, they pushed it first to May and then to June. We did have our primaries in June. It was a shit show. Voting locations were closed, limited people allowed inside, machines not working depending on what part of the metro you lived in, if it was a black or brown in or if it was a white in. You just didn't even have access to speedy voting. But the stakes are so high. The same people who slapped knees and kikied at folks for being in the streets protesting and rioting during a global pandemic are ready to go out the fucking door and stand in line for 5 hours to vote. I don't understand that either, especially when there's so much more at stake. I mean, are you fucking serious? Then the fascist has been talking about canceling the election. I don't know if folks have been following it recently, but this ploy to shut down the U.S. Postal Service ahead of an election when people are calling for mail-in fucking ballots, that is direct fascism. And you want me to sit here and argue about a light-skinned woman who went to a HBCU and is a part of this Black Letter organization about being my fucking representative when I ain't never liked her regardless because my politics would never align with her. And I have a fascist, if I wanted to vote, telling me that I can't, to ensure that he and his regime remain in power. Or not just his regime, but the regime that is the nation. Because there is more at stake for the nation if Biden and Harris are elected than I think is with Trump. There's so much more. And I don't mean by the way, I don't mean it's at stake in the way that most people think it means. I mean the fire that is lit under all y'all asses to actually want to do something, to actually want to vote and know who's on your ballot at the lowest level, or to take the streets and burn shit down. A lot of that stroked by at least we have a common person to point the finger at. But I want us to get to the space of knowledge and informed being as members of collective communities to know that it's not a single target when you live in a world built on systems, built on structures, built on things that are foundational to your way of being, to the way that you know yourself as a person. You wake up every day, you think about all your identities. Why do you know yourself as Black, brown, white, man, woman, other, child, adult? Why do you know that? Because there's something in place that tells you that reinforces that, and then that makes you legible as such. Every time you cast a ballot in favor of any of it, you're reinforcing a cage for yourself. So it's a carceral practice in general to continue to participate in United States elections as is. If you are not for the abolition of the United States, if you are for its preservation in any way, you too are participating in carceral practices. So I absolutely believe that knowing all of those things, that is quite possible that you folks are excited as fuck to go vote for fucking Kamala Harris.
I just want the people to understand that there is a really, really high chance that even if y'all get y'all ass out here and do all of that, sis might not take it. She might.
And then so what you do then? What do you do then?
And what we're gonna do then? We're gonna vote about it again. So
right,
the same system you're saying we're gonna use this to get. How are they even able to have power to stop that? How is that even allowed? That's my question. That's when I start critiquing, like, how is that even able to happen? How is he saying, oh, yes, sis, I've nominated this Postmaster General, and they're out here treating the U.S. Postal Service like it's a business and cutting hours back, stopping overtime, all this in the middle of a fucking pandemic where people are saying, hey, bitch, my old ass ain't gonna probably stand no line and risk myself getting COVID and getting sick. I'm gonna vote by mail. To the point now that the Postal Service said, hey, girl, the way the shit going right now, we might not even be able to get these shit in before the election. Like, it might give November the 5th or November the 6th. There's already a conversation happening right now, and people think it's some bullshit. But there's not going to be anything we can do, and I want folks to, like, by voting. It's just, it's already fucked up. Like
and then to that point, like, it's like then that's going to breed ground for the capitalists to come in, Justin, because it's like if the U.S. Postal Service can't hold the capacity, who can?
Well, you know, they try to say that the FedEx,
Amazon, all of these capitalists
take up, but it's not giving that. I don't even trust them. I don't trust.
No, that's what I'm not saying. We can trust them. I'm saying what that leaves space for is either we get disenfranchised and we as a collective have no election, and now you have to figure out how the fuck to be and govern in a society without that electoral structure. Or we see the way neoliberal capitalism works. We invest in these fucking private companies to say, well, we're going to take up the capacity of doing the mail in a way that the Postal Service, a public state institution, can't. And now you see the Jeff Bezos of the world profiting off of getting you your fucking mail-in ballot.
And they still don't.
We see the Facebooks of the world making a whole tech platform that then surveils your fucking votes and shit.
Yeah.
They go hand in hand. They go, one hand washes the other. And investing any of it gets you nowhere.
They don't even have the resources to even reach certain parts of, like, cities. They've even said that, like, I saw many people say, hey, like, I can't even get, FedEx to come to my house. I can't get UPS to come to my house. Like, sometimes these companies rely on the United States Postal Service because it costs, like, they save money by using it. Like, it's cheaper for them to use it than using their own shit. So I just want folks to know, if we are saying that this is the only thing to be able to get this quote unquote liberation, this freedom, or whatever you need this week to make you feel comfortable, if this one thing is voting and gonna make you, girl, I'm telling you, that ain't even gonna happen for you. So what next? I want you to get prepared, because bitch, I've already accepted that it's gonna be some fuck shit November 4th, regardless. We might not even be quote unquote voting November 4th. This motherfucker might say, well, girl, the pandemic's so bad, let's wait till next year. He already said we might not know the winner for months, or even he's already said this shit. And if you don't, it wouldn't surprise me if he has said, I don't give a fuck about COVID, fuck that shit, da 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 da. I'm gonna do none of that shit surprised me. None of that shit surprised me with this at all. Like it wouldn't be. So I just want people to be prepared. I honestly, in a little bit of my spirit, I honestly won't Biden and Harris to lose. I want them to lose. Maybe then these girls will get ready to do some shit, maybe then.
I want them to lose, or I want them to win and flop. It would be poetic fucking justice if they win. Everybody rah, yay, we got him out. Woo! And then he concedes and they take over and you still dying of a virus that you shouldn't be dying from because your healthcare system is still going to be fucked. Period. Because your mail's still not going to get delivered, because the neoliberal capitalist state will never serve you. It will never care for you. It will never hold you. Only community can do that. And y'all refuse that in the name of individuals to represent you, because that's what the system has indoctrinated you to do. And I really feel sad. I get mad at people, but ultimately I'm immensely saddened because people don't want better because they don't know better. And even when you try to offer better, the fear of having less security than they perceive to already have now prevents you from engaging in otherwise. And it's sad.
It is. And there's been conversation right now. I was trying to put up this article. They're saying that the military needs to be prepared in case Trump does not accept the election results.
What they gonna do? They gonna send the Marines in there to march in there and drag him out? And that's so carceral that it would take the strength of the entire military to remove one man. Huh? Girl, it reminds me like when people send the whole SWAT team for one drug dealer with one gun.
They have sent a letter to the chairman of Joint Chiefs talking about this shit. Like, hey girl, if sis don't concede, bitch, y'all might have to come snatch this motherfucker out. For us to even think that that shit is possible, like for us to even have a conversation about that, should tell you everything about this shit.
Yeah.
It should tell you everything. Like, honestly, if this shit was happening in any other part of the world, we would be out here like, bitch, that shit is fun. We've seen shit like this happen in other parts of the world.
It does.
And the United States has been a part of that shit. And we look, that shit has been happening here. It's happening right now. It's just more in your face right now. And I'm glad that people are starting to recognize that. That's the most important part for me, is that people saying, hey girl, like this shit, excuse me, we shouldn't, COVID would not necessarily, to me, wouldn't be a thing if everybody had access to healthcare. We wouldn't have, like, it would not be that bad. The reason why it is
not just healthcare, but a means of providing for themselves beyond working. Mm-hmm. The Achilles heel with COVID ain't been the fact that I can't go to the doctor and get a fucking cure. We live with uncurable disease every day. You have HIV. Every fucking day we live with an uncurable virus, right? And yes, access to healthcare.
People are still dying from complications of HIV in 2020. The virus has been here 20-something years. And people, like, my medication costs like $3,000 a month.
Access to healthcare is absolutely a barrier in all of that, but access to care, period. The idea of a safety net is available to no one in the United States that is not wealthy, meaning you are a capitalist, meaning you are part of the system that oppresses. And so the biggest Achilles heel for us dealing with COVID is the very fact that they are so hell-bent on keeping this economy running at the expense of our death after death after. They literally pick you up, put you in it. It's like a battery. It puts you in the machine runs, the battery dies, they throw you away, and they put another one in there.
Yeah, that's why I'm
looking
That's why I'm looking that's why I'm looking at them crazy when they talk about getting the kids back into school.
I'm like, what is the point?
They don't care about these kids getting no education. They need kids to be at school so these parents can have a reason to, oh, well, now I can go back to work. That's all that shit is about. I literally went to Memphis 2 weeks ago, the end of July, and I went to my old high school. Shout out to Tresman High School. That fucking school looked like a goddamn fucking abandoned prison. The grass was growing fucking, like the grass ain't been cut in months. Outside of the school looks the same. The paint is chipping away. There's bars on the windows and stuff. It doesn't even look like a place that someone will go to learn. It does not even look inviting. Yeah, there's fucking classrooms with no heat, no air. like all of these things. Y'all don't give a fuck about these kids getting no goddamn education. Say that bullshit. Now they want to say, oh, children with learning disabilities is having a tough time being able to learn online. There are kids who don't even have internet access. They don't have any computers. They don't have all of these things. This shit should have been going on way before then. So all the shit that COVID is doing is just exposing the shit that was already there.
Exactly, baby.
That's the shit. There's no reason for us. We should all be at the fucking house. We know Miss COVID, she tap dancing on everyone's lawns. Bitch, everybody stay at the house. We can't even do that. What does that say when we have to go to work to fucking, what the fuck does that say when you have to go to work to pay your fucking bills? You have to risk
in a country with nothing but excess. In a country with nothing but excess, where the ones with the most excess get online like Ava DuVernay and tell us they don't care. It just keeps coming back to that.
You don't have
it keeps coming back to why we need to eat the rich, why we need to cut the fucking head off. All of the snakes, like gut the snake and cut the heads off and eat.
I see your shirt.
Oh, Smokey the Bear.
Ava's trying to get Biden Harris so she can go back to filming in Hollywood and write more Black pandemic fucking movies and shit.
No shade.
That's all that shit. I want to go back to traveling because these girls are embarrassed. They can't fly to other countries and shit no more. They can't do the rich folks shit. Y'all don't give a fuck. Ava, whatever your name is this week, you don't give a fuck about Black folks, girl. You don't give a damn. Stop this bullshit. And y'all need to stop thinking these celebrities give a fuck about y'all ass. They love the coin. And Regina King, you probably one celebrity that I kind of stand for, but sis, she said she was in agreement with what Ava is on Twitter.
Surprised because that's the thing, like, and we're not gonna talk about this long because we already did an episode on this, but that's the thing is people prop up these Black celebs as these pro-Black revolutionary as people because they do a thing that's exciting or they've been representing Black folks in Hollywood for however long. The reality is these people do not give a fuck about your Black ass. They are only invested in Blackness insofar as they are able, only to the extent that they are able to use it as an aesthetic, as something to get them money. Regina King included, and I love the doll. Well, she's not a doll because she's cis, but I love the girl. But it's like, babes, you are like these people can only be are only invested in Blackness in as much as it's able to give them a coin. And if it's not able to give them a coin, then they don't really give a fuck. And so, of course, she definitely agrees because at the end of the day, they're all liberal. They all want to be able to say they want Black freedom so long as they're able to stay rich. And ultimately, that means that has to mean that they want Black freedom so long as we continue to die. That's what it means. That's it. What that means. That's what it means to be a Black celeb. That's what it means to be invested in Black celebrity. And for as long as we as poor Black folks want to be free, we have to recognize that when these Black celebs say they want Black freedom, it always already means at our expense and for us to continue to die.
It comes with a cost.
Period.
Comes with a cost.
Period.
So there's nothing else to be said on that conversation. So we done went from our favorite cop to the pandemic, to COVID-19, to Keisha Lance Bottoms, and
the WAP.
But this was a sickening episode. I'm probably gonna break this in two parts. It depends on how long it was. I hope everyone enjoyed it. I know I did. Because I'm going to go back and listen and absorb all of the information that was put out. I appreciate you all so much. I put
some footage on Twitter while we were in the middle of recording. So,
girl, come on, you love a sneak, honey. Is that all? Do y'all have anything to say before we end it?
I just want to say I love Black people, and I can't wait for the day that we get to be free from all this bullshit. and where we can love on each other without having to refer to ourselves by the cages that we've been assigned to.
Period.
And that's that on that. Until next time, thank you so much to In the Middle, and we'll talk to y'all later. Bye. My finger, what was it doing?
Girl,